guys, well today is hoof trimming day, so I have all the boys out. These are all the bucks. This is Porter. He is probably he's got the worst feet, and that's a long process trying to get his feet done, all sorted. And then I have Zach's there. He's also not the most compliant when it comes to feet. Nebu's very good. He's been brought up with hoof trimming. And this is Cookie and Tiki, who is need of a brush, auntie babies. Now the two babies are very good. They've been hoof trimmed ever since they were young. Nebu, he's had a lot more since he got here. Hey, you're about just under 12 months when you got here. Zachy, you're learning. It's just something that has to be done. And Porter, well Porter, you're the most freakish one, aren't you? Hey, but you're the sweetest goat. So, Porter is the wilder of the bunch. Okay, he really hates his hoof trimming and he'll carry on like a pork chop. So what I have is, I have eyelet bolts that are bolt through ones with, I'll see if I can show you, the decent flat washer on the other side. Oh, actually no decent flat washer on these ones. These are just slightly larger, rounder things. But anyhow, the point is you don't want to be able to pull the bolt through. I also do double bolts so they can't undo and get loose. Okay, and when you're setting them up, make sure you countersink it into the wood, and that way they can't spin. See how they're sort of stuck in the wood there. Next I use a decent collar, like they have their quick release collars for paddock use, but I use a buckle collar when it comes to stuff like this because it has to be super strong, because they will fight like the clappers. Hey Porty! And they also have a double-ended clip which I use to pull them right into the post, and thank you Porter, and also a double-ended dog ute chain. You know, those farm dogs, they chain them to utes. And there's something called a single jaw swivel. So it's a single jaw because one end's like a normal shackle and you can undo it, and then the other bit's just round, but you can just use any sort of swivel shackle. And the reason I do that is because I spin the boys. The post is in the middle of my stand, which is just 2 plastic pellets cut in half, and then just some ply on top, just screwed down with some roof bolts. I've just used spare bits, but you can use whole sheets if you want. And all I do is I spin him from one side to the other, depending on which side I'm doing. This is great for vets, this is great for hoof trimming, drenching, you name it. I also use railing because it's solid, and I'm dealing with really strong bucks. So I need something that I can push them up against too if I have to. And also with the beauty with horns, I can actually hook the horns under the rail if I need to really restrain them. So the railing holds one horn for me, which holds half the body, and then I can hold on to the other horn. So that just depends on what sort of procedure is happening at the time. The other thing is, all the boys here, as lovely as they are, there are times where they're just not going to be compliant. So I always put halters on them, and the halter will actually get chained to the double-ended clip, to the double-ended clip, and then the long dog chain will stay on the collar. Okay, so I've always got 2 points of contact. If one fails, I've always got a secondary point because you don't want the goats running off. I am roadside, and if this lot took off, it wouldn't be so good. And those guys there, they're all on the same as well. Basically, it's a eyelet bolt, yet again countersunk, single jaw swivel chain, double-ended clip, dog chain. This is slightly longer ones. Basically they're longer because they can sit down and rest, but if I need to wash them, normally I wash the whole lot in one hit. Yes, there's no favourites here. Hey, everybody gets washed all together, and I tie them up to the double clip, and basically that way they can't struggle too much. Goats, if they have too much room to move, they will break collars, they'll break most things. So the less ability they have to move, the better. They don't have as much, let's call it propulsion, to try and break things if they're really tight. Now in Zach's case, because I don't know what it is with him, but he likes to wind his horns round his clip. So his one, because he's a taller goat anyway, if he sits down, he's had an extra strong collar put on as well. You'll see the double collar, double collar there. And if he sits down, he can still, well, I should say he can still sit down even though he's on the double clip as well. Because, yeah, you'll probably break the chain, Zach. You're so strong. anyhow, I'll get on with the hoof trimming and I'll show you the process. So now Porter is in his halter. Okay, basically I've got a variety of sizes of halters. I use Halters Plus, Sue Vanna's brand. They're really, really strong. They're actually much stronger than the Hoof ones. The hardware, the stainless hardware, is almost double if not 3 times the thickness. And with goats, you need good hardware, otherwise that's going to be a point of failure. Okay, and basically I've got him in the halter, and now the halter is clipped with a double clip onto the swivel jaw. Okay, he doesn't like halters, okay, so he will wriggle. I could do it with a collar, but to be honest, those are long stabby horns, and he only needs to just flick them and he could rake me or possibly do some damage. So with the halter he can't go anywhere. You'll notice that his head is up high. The reason for that is all their strength is in their shoulders. I do have another one down below which I use for the smaller goats. But whenever you're doing hoof trimming or anything like this that requires you against a goat, basically in terms of, I don't know what you call it, in terms of what, maybe just restraining them, let's call it, you've got to be in a position where they can't put their head down and get all the strength in their shoulders, because that area there, that is where all the power is. If you get the head up, they're slightly off, I wouldn't say they're off balance, but they're not able to use their shoulders or engage their shoulders for a lot of strength-based pushing or shunting. But also what else was I going to say? Oh, basically with the halter, very similar to a horse, you control the head, you control the rest of the body. Halters are invaluable if you're teaching your goats to lead, or if you're out and about, basically out in public, always have a halter on them. It's too easy for a goat to get scared if you've just got a collar on and just pull. With a halter you've got finger touch control. With a collar you could potentially be dragged through the grass like I've been done a couple of times. So yeah, halters, must have one. Now as for the kit, rubber gloves. You're going to be using sharp equipment and you do not want to be stabbing yourself. You're dealing with feet, muck, poo, bacteria. You do not want that getting into your skin and potentially causing yourself problems. Foot trimming snips, bourbon and ball ones. I've got just a hoof brush with a bit of a pick on the end. This is I use for scrubbing out the mud, and then I can use that to dislodge any sort of caked mud. This is Clevedon County sharpener, which I use for my bourbon ball shears. That pair is probably about 7 years old, still going strong. And even this is what, 10 years old now, and that's still going strong too. And then my last tool is my little manicure corn plane. That's so I can do precision trimming underneath the foot, especially in winter time. If you're using these, you can easily sort of almost get like slivers and little cuts where you haven't done a full cut, and that's where the bacteria can harbour. With this you can actually do a clean slice of the hoof and get a really flat, clean, non-sliced sole, so that they can't actually get bacteria harbouring in the actual sole part. Okay, so we go on to the foot trim. Oh, this is a kit as well. I just use a grooming bag. It's got lots of little pockets and things on it. I've got Tetravet spray, which is a topical antibiotic. I've got the Equicare mud fever spray, especially this time of the year, and then my go-to is always Coppertox. Got a towel so I can wipe my hands, my bottle of Dettol so I can disinfect all the tools between each hoof, and in here I've just got some spare tools, some scissors and things. And I always have a brush, because while they're tied up I also groom them, and it gives me a chance to actually have a really good look over them to see if there's any abrasions, cuts, any lumps, anything that's of concern. And I can check for lice and all sorts of things. Now after hoof trimming, what we do is we also do a liquid mineral drench while they're here. They do get a little bit in their meals every day, but I also do basically a foot trim top-up, as I call it. And hoof trims here generally once a month, depending on, I suppose, the hoof of the animal. Massport needs to have hoof trims probably about every second or third week at the moment. but these guys here, they're basically every 4 weeks. Okay, right, that's all for now. Actually, Porter, should we show them how we swing you around? Okay, so this is me doing one side. Okay, the platform is set at the height so that I don't have to bend right to the ground, because that puts me off balance. So basically I'm only leaning down only on a slight 45-degree angle, and then all I have to do is I put my hand behind him. Come on, up, up, up and over, and then I can swing around to do the other side. So it's really simple, nothing complicated about it. Oops. Okay, nothing complicated. Okay, and he swings himself back. As a prey animal, they always want to be heading into their direction of flight. So that's their paddock over there, so that's the direction of flight. And that's the other thing. If all was to fail and maybe the bolt comes out and they get loose, worst comes to worst, he will run straight through into his paddock, and that's why I've got the gate open. Obviously once he's in there, I'll be shutting the gate. But also I start generally with Porter because he's the most freaked out. Then I move on to his best mate, which will be Zach, and then Nebu, and then the 2 babies. Look at Zach, he's just up to, I don't know. Anyhow, so that's the order I do, and that seems to work well. It's order of hierarchy too. So yeah. Right, rat baggers, let's get on with it. I'm going to throw this trick in. Zach, even though he's got his halter on, he can still get me with his horns. He's very flexible with those little horns, and they are big, they're not little horns. So the other thing I do is I tie the horn up to the fence, and that restrains him. So I can get this done sooner rather than later. Some may say it's cruel. It's not about cruelty, it's about safety for yourself. But also, if he can't really move, goats have this funny thing where they just sort of, even if you put them into a special sort of headlock, which you need to sometimes to restrain them, they just sort of go sort of limp, and they just stop fighting. Like now, okay, he might not be happy, that little eye says I'm not happy, but he's not actually fighting it. So yeah, this way I can just do the front feet safely, and I'll probably have to do it on the other side as well, and then it's just done. And then after he gets taken off it for the back legs, and he's fine. So yeah, I just don't want to be stabbed in the back with these sharp little things. Yes. So there we go. Okay, just another trick that you might need to employ depending on your goat. And Porter's been done, he's happy now. Next thing after this will be quick wash with the hose to get all the wheeze off their legs. All my boys are in rut. Skippy, can you get out of there? They don't want you down their bloody feet. And they can get something called urine scald, which is, I don't know if Zacky's got it. No, Zacky's hasn't got it. But basically, the acid from the wheeze, if it's always on the legs, will actually make the leg go bald and actually burn the skin. So at least once every couple of weeks I just rinse their legs and also their faces as well, because they have this lovely habit of licking or drinking each other's pee, and they get it all over their face as well. So face and legs, they're the 2 things that get washed around here. Right, more later. So all I've used to tie the horn is just the handle of the dog leash. This is just a short dog leash. Literally go around the fence post, just pull him to the fence post, go around a second time, through the middle of the horn, and then I just clip him onto the ring, just the ring down there. Okay, really, really simple. It's easy to undo as well. Hey, it's easy to undo. Look at that, none the worse for wear. Got 2 done quite nicely. Hey Zacky. Right, other side now.